Hello, Lisa here. Welcome to Walking the Self-Worth Path, a series where I share with you my favorite tarot and witchy tools, techniques, and rituals to support your journey to an empowered life. When it comes to our mask, our most empowering decision that we can make for ourselves is to consciously choose to take it off. And to do that and to make that choice again and again and again. So the ritual I'm about to share with you is actually incredibly simple. It's all about choosing to identify the mask or masks that you wear and then going through the process of really integrating that knowledge and then choosing to take those masks off and to keep them off. Even when you recognize that they start to slip back on, to build an awareness and a knowledge that you can take them off again. One of the things I love about the Tarot of the She's depiction of the Tower is that we see somebody who has literally obliterated the masks that they wear. And when we do that, when we stop wearing the mask that we think we should be wearing, that we're conditioned to wear, we step into a phase where we embrace our authenticity and we take the good and the bad that comes with that. We learn from that, and we, instead of maybe falling victim to the idea that we have to hide who we are in order to survive in the world, which I'm not going to pretend that is not sometimes necessary, because it may be, but we recognize that we have a right to exist as we are, and we learn to move through the world in that way without feeling like we always have to be slipping on a new mask for somebody else in our life or to be considered acceptable in some way. And so this ritual of unmasking, or for unmasking, is basically a symbolic practice to lean into the idea that we all, especially when we struggle with self-worth, we all struggle with masks that we slip on to make other people more comfortable, or to make them more happy, or to somehow consider or make ourselves worthy or acceptable in some way. And that is what this practice is all about. So I'm going to set this card to the side for now because I just think it's a beautiful symbol of the work that we're doing here. And what I'm going to encourage you to do in this ritual, as I talked about just now, is I want us to be able to identify our mask first. And in order to do that, I'm going to ask you to do something a little bit vulnerable, and definitely keep this private. This is not meant for anybody else's eyes. I'm about to share mine to make a point. But the practice of the ritual for unmasking is to first create your mask. And to do that, just take a piece of cardstock or a thick piece of paper, cut out a piece of file folder, whatever it is that works for you, and draw a basic mask shape, like a masquerade mask shape, something super simple, or you can find a printable online somewhere and print it. I used Canva, which is a photo editing software, and I'm going to put an inset photo up on the screen somewhere so you can see my process of creating my mask using clip art images and just dragging them onto the mask. You could also just print out a shape and take a pen and write words that represent the things that you think you put on to make other people happy, or to make them more comfortable, to make yourself seem accessible or acceptable in some way. And whatever way you want to decorate it, some people might want to paint it or clip out magazine pictures and pin them onto it. I chose the digital route. I think it was really poignant for me, and it really captured what I was trying to accomplish. So with that being said, let me share my mask. Now you're also going to need a pair of scissors, a pen. I like these Sharpie fine point pens, but any pen will work, and a piece of ribbon or leather that is big enough to wrap around your head, because yes, we are going to be wearing our masks. So I'm going to set this to the side, and here is what I created in that image. So essentially, I'm going to talk you through sort of the things that I did here, and maybe add some things if it occurs to me with my pen. That's why you want a pen, because as you're working on your mask, you may decide that there's other words that come to mind. A lot of the masks that I was conditioned to wear through my upbringing, through my childhood, and the ways that I felt unworthy, these were the ones. So a lot of the things you'll see here is I felt like I needed to sort of put forward some sort of perfection forward, something that nobody could criticize, right? So there was a constant need to sort of control and make myself perfect. And so you'll see here in this section, I have make perfect. Over here, I have somebody with tape over their mouths, because speaking up or standing up for myself, or in any way being verbally assertive, was always treated negatively. And so I learned that to be acceptable, I needed to be quiet. I needed to not say things that would make other people uncomfortable, even if those things seemed perfectly harmless. So I learned to be quieter and quieter until I didn't even know how to share my own stuff, you know, how to even speak from my me place. I didn't even know how to do it because I'd spent so long quieting myself. I learned that I needed to hide my emotions. Here we have a figure, he's frowning and he's in this mask that's smiling, which is so appropriate for this exercise. But I really felt like I needed to constantly be putting on this like optimistic, positive persona so that other people would find me acceptable. It's like I wasn't allowed to have negative emotions. I wasn't allowed to feel anything other than happy and positive for everybody around me. And whenever I let this particular mask slip, things went badly, like very badly for me in my childhood and even in my young adulthood and sometimes in my adulthood, to be honest. And also that's kind of what the sun is here. Like always be sunny, always be rosy, always be supportive, always be that. And here's the funny thing, that's who I am naturally, but when you have to be that in order to feel like you're worthy or lovable, that's different, right? And so it took me a long time to come from the place where I felt like I had to be this to a place where I can just be that because it's authentically who I am without feeling like I'm performing. And so here we have the puppet, because the people in my life for a long time, this is who they wanted me to be, or this is my perception of who they wanted me to be, right? This is how they treated me, like somebody they wanted to be able to easily manipulate and control. And when I stepped out of line, if I showed autonomy, that freaked out the people in my life to the point where when I finally started to not be, this is a doormat, when I started to not be people's doormats anymore, when I walked my own self-worth path, I lost a lot of people in my life because they couldn't handle this not being the case anymore. They didn't know what to do with the me that they couldn't control, that they couldn't manipulate, that wouldn't just say yes to everything that was asked, that wouldn't be constantly their cheerleader at their own expense. And I'm talking about myself in the third person. I don't know when that happened, but it happened. Who would constantly say everything's fine. It's okay. Whatever you want. Sure. Yes. Yes. So this is my mask. And I'm sure there's so much more that I could add here. I thought I might think of something and write it down as I was talking, but it feels really complete to me actually as I talk about it. So all we're going to do now is cut it out. Okay, so once you've cut out your mask and you've cut out your eye holes for your mask, you can even just check to see that it's going to fit your face okay. This size fits me just fine. And I just snipped 2 little slits in the side here where I'm going to thread my cord. So all I'm going to do is take a piece of cord and push it through. And then I'm just going to tie a loop around. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to not come off until I'm ready to take it off. That feels like it's going to come untied. So I'm just going to create a bit of a loop here, slip it around my head, and figure out how big the loop needs to be. And that should be about right. So I'm just going to tie it off here. Perfect. Okay. So mine fits. I'm going to go ahead and keep this piece of leather just dangling because I'm going to be repurposing this piece of leather once I'm done with it. I don't think it's real leather. I think it's fake leather. But anyways, so it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be perfect, but now I've got my mask. The next part of the ritual is actually really simple. You go into a sacred space, whatever that is for you. It could just be in your room. It could be that you cast a circle. You can be as elaborate with the ritual as you want. When you're ready, you put this mask on. And you meditate or you spend some time journaling, wearing the mask, about what this mask has on it, how it represents the things that you do to make other people happy that aren't necessarily authentically you, the ways in which you perform, the ways in which you find yourself stepping into an image that somebody else has created for what you think you're supposed to be, or how you think you want to be perceived, all of that sort of thing. You just spend some time in it. You meditate, you journal, you can say out loud or voice memo record how you're feeling about it. Whatever way makes sense to you while you're wearing the mask, to really steep yourself in what this mask represents. And then when you're ready with your full intention and resolve, you'll remove the mask. And when you remove it, you are removing it in a way that is committing to yourself that you will not be putting it back on. You are, in effect, stepping into a space where you are deciding that you will not wear it anymore. You're not going to wear it for other people. You're not going to even wear it if it's tempting. And when you catch yourself wearing it, when you recognize in a moment that you're wearing any of these things for other people, you remind yourself of this ritual, right? So when you're ready to take it off, don't do it till you're ready. The idea is that you're going to take it off because you're never putting it back on again. None of this stuff. You're going to be yourself. Now, again, we're all human. We're going to backslide. But the idea is that we're committing to a new way of moving through the world, and that is not being all of this stuff. So when you're ready, take it off. And while you're in that sacred space, look at it. Look at it right after you take it off. And then think about what it represented for you and the fact that that is now in the past. And think about how to treat this piece of cardstock or this piece of paper once you've taken it off for the last time. Do you want to stomp on it? Do you want to rip it into tiny little pieces with your bare hands? Do you want to tear it up or roll it up? Do you want to write on the back all the things that you're mad at about it? Do you want to tear it into smaller pieces and put it in your fireplace, or throw it into a fire pit, or tear it into small pieces and in a fire-safe way, put it in your cauldron and let it burn? How do you want to discard of this representation of all the things that you used to do to put on for other people? That's what we're doing here. That's what this ritual is all about. It is a ritual of unmasking. And the most important piece of this is your determination that from now on, there will be no more masks. That is what we're doing. That's the point. I hope that this gives you an idea of how you can use a ritual of unmasking to help uncover and really shine a light on who you truly are. And this is one of the most empowering things I've ever done. One of my most uplifting rituals. And it was also one of the most difficult, because really coming face to face with the masks that you wear, the ways that you perform to make others happy, the realization of just how much you lose yourself in performative things that you do so that other people will think you're good enough. When you realize that, when you really face that, it's really tough, right? So I don't want to pretend that this is an easy thing. And if this does not feel like something you're up for right now, you don't do it, right? Get some support around you. I've been saying this the whole way through, but it can't be reiterated enough. If this feels like too much, then it's too much, okay? So meet yourself where you are. Remember, that's where we began with this whole journey. Meet yourself where you are. And don't do things that don't feel like they're going to be nourishing or safe for you to do. But this was such a powerful ritual for me, and it is one that I think I just can't recommend it highly enough if you feel like you're ready for it. Doing it again in this way for the camera was extra vulnerable, I will admit, but I'm really proud of the fact that I can even be in a place where I can talk about this, because just the fact of how I was conditioned and how I was raised and a lot of the stuff that I've moved through in my own life means that just talking about my actual things that I wore as a mask is breaking all of the rules that I was raised by. And so in a way, it's liberating just to talk about it in this way. But just know that whatever your mask looks like, and it doesn't have to be cute, okay? It doesn't. You can literally just take out a piece of cardboard and write stuff on it. The first one that I was playing around with making for the camera was just words, and I realized I needed something more visual. Again, feel free to collage or to paint or to cut out magazine pictures that represent the kind of things that you put on. I think for some of us, a lot of these images could have been things around societal ideas of beauty, for example, or of attractiveness that we might want to put on our mask. Anything that we feel like we constantly are trying to put on or live up to are great things to put on your mask. But the most important part of the work is the part where you sit with your mask on and you recognize that you're wearing it, and you recognize what that means and what that looks like out in the world. And you recognize that you don't have to wear it, that it's a choice to wear it. And then you make a choice to stop wearing it. And that's really where the power of the ritual is. So I hope this gave you something to consider. Even if this specific ritual doesn't speak to you, I hope that it gave you food for thought for maybe your journaling exercises, for things you could do to unmask yourself in whatever way works for you. The work of the self-worth path is deeply personal to me, because it is really ultimately how I survived and how I found myself and how I found happiness in so many ways. And so it's meaningful to me. I get that this is not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but if you are enjoying this, if you're finding value in it, then explore it and see where it leads you. That's what I would say. As always, thank you so much for watching, for joining me, for holding space as well for the things that I share throughout this series. Thank you. As always, please do click the like button if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the exercise, if you found value in this at all. And do subscribe if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this. I do some self-worth content and a lot of tarot witchy content. Don't forget to hit the little notification bell so you're notified of my future videos. As always, thank you so much for joining me, and may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye, guys.